welcome everybody to our first ever uh, podcast. We are Project Tech Gaming. We're starting off our podcast with the very first episode today. I'm joined with co-host Rob Garcia, and I'm Kelvin. And we're going to start off with just introducing ourselves with the just kind of giving you guys a little brief introduction of who we are and why we want to do this. So, Rob, if you want to start off.
Yeah, so me and Kelvin have known each other since we were about 7 years old. So, been a long time. We basically, our friendship started because we both liked games. And it's been our hobby ever since. So, we always thought it'd be a good idea. Like, we like talking about games. We do it almost every day. I would say we talk about games more than we actually play them at this point in our lives. So, I said, why not? Let's start a podcast and talk and just put these ideas, on the mic and just a fun thing for us to do. And that's kind of
Yeah,
how
and I,
this all started.
I want to stress that out too. Like this is just something that we want to do for fun. It's very it's one of those things where like we've been wanting to do this for a long time, right?
Yeah,
And it's something that we didn't know how to kind of start this off because we're both full time workers. Um, so it was just kind of hard to just kind of sit down and actually put things into place, into motion. So we finally did it. We're here today. We're actually starting our podcast, and I mean, I'm very excited. I'm excited to start this, and who knows? We'll see what happens from here, right? But
exactly. Like I said, it's just a starting point right now. And we want to just give content that people will hopefully enjoy. Like we're not, like I said, we're just like normal people that we don't do this for a living. We're just doing it for fun,
so
basically.
as far as contents go, what exactly do you see ourselves like? Do you see yourself talking about in this podcast? Like, what do you think we're going to be giving to the audience?
I think primarily gaming. We're primarily going to be talking about gaming. Also, just in general tech, like we're really into computer gaming, PC specs and stuff like that. So, just overall technology, like it's like hard tech. We can talk about even like we could throw some anime in there too. We're big anime
Oh,
guys.
let's go.
So yeah,
I'm one of the fakest anime guys. First of all, like I love anime.
you're pretty
I
fake,
don't watch. I don't watch it as much as I want to, though.
but
Like
you
every
appreciate it, right? You
Oh,
definitely
for sure.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and I try to keep up with it. Like you tell me about like all these anime shows that you tell me to watch. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll watch it. I'll probably watch it just maybe like 3 4 months down the line. But I got there. You know what I mean? Like it's just it takes me a while to get there.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So again, this channel is called Project TG, Project Tech Gaming, because we like to talk about tech and gaming. So that's how we came up with the name. Um, and again, this will primarily probably be about games. That's kind of
that's
the
our
main.
forte, right? Like that's
Yeah,
more of our like that's kind of what we know and what we like. You said we kind of talk more about games than actually play games, which is kind of like the realization right now for us. But yeah, so I'm Kelvin. I like to obviously kind of talk about games with Rob, and I don't play as much games as I would like to, for especially now. But I think making this podcast with Rob would be beneficial for both of us because we kind of get to actually sit down and talk. Because like we typically we would like text each other or we join a match of COD and we're playing and talking, but we're not literally like sitting down and actually discussing things, right? We want to talk about things that are kind of like in the gaming industry, in the tech industry, and we want to kind of give our insight on it. And maybe down the line, I kind of want to do stuff like adding reviews and
absolutely.
you know, right, like cool stuff like that. I know you want to do something with Pokemon cards,
Yeah,
like that's pretty cool.
slowly getting to, yeah, like I said, it's just a mix of like nerdy crap. Like that's
Yeah,
basically what
exactly.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's gonna be a buttload of nerdy crap just into one little space. So hopefully we can accomplish that. And yeah, we're just gonna be talking about reviews. We're gonna be talking about news, gaming space, specific things like that. Who knows? Streaming might be something that we might be getting into. Um, the future is definitely upon us. So we'll see what happens, right?
So
Um,
we're gonna start here with our first segment, and this will be a recurring thing on the show. Will be play of the day. So what are you currently playing, Kelvin?
Currently, I am playing. Well, Call of Duty is like sprinkled in there, right? Because we always go back to
You always
Call of
want
Duty
to, yeah, you always want to get a match in
and,
or something.
and Gears 5. We're always kind of going into that. But what I'm like really mainly playing right now is Horizon Zero Dawn, and I've talked to you a little bit about that outside of this, but that what a game! Like that game is really it surprised me because I wasn't really that into it when I first got it, and I bought it. I want to say I got it closer to the release day. I didn't buy it on day one, but I got it closer to that day, right? I started playing it. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I wasn't hooked for whatever reason. I think it was just because of the grand scale of it. You know me well. I'm not. I love open world games, but when it comes to like completing them, it's a different story. Especially when it's like the Bethesda or like Ubisoft type of like open
Yeah.
world collecting landscape stuff like that. It's hard for me to like finish it from point A to point B. But this one kind of so I fell off for like a year, right? I just started picking it back up now. And so I started playing it now because I got my PS5, right? And I want to play something, I'm itching to play something. I beat Spider-Man Miles Morales, so I'm like, all right, what do I play next? I have Demon Souls, but I'm kind of stuck at it right now. So I'm playing Horizon.
You're kind of stuck at it, or you kind of suck at it.
I suck. I am terrible at it. And
They're
we'll
not for
talk.
everybody. They're not for
Yeah,
everybody. That's for sure.
yeah, it's one of those. Anyways, so I'm playing. I'm booting it back up, and it's just it for some reason it just clicked. Like it just got my attention immediately. Aloy, the main character, is kind of like she's very interesting in a way, and like I like how her dynamic is not just with other characters, but just around the world. Little things like when you're climbing, like you don't even have to climb when you're like upscaling up on a huge hill, right? Like she starts bending over and like picking up the rocks. Like she starts like grabbing onto the rocks. You don't have to do anything. You're just moving the thumbstick up, right? And she starts kind of like navigating her way up without
Yeah,
you
it's like a
pressing.
sense of realism of like actually
Yeah,
it looks
and it
organic.
just feels like she has weight to her. On top of that, the whole world is huge. It's massive. Like it is probably one of the bigger games that I've played or seen, right? And everything is just so rich with like enemies and uh, just foliage, like characters, like every like it's just that's the one thing I will say. There's not enough like human characters around. There's it's just mostly
Well, it's a scarce
right
world, right? It's like a futuristic, a
for sure. Yeah,
post-apocalyptic world, right?
they
So
have
it's like it's that.
villages and they have like
Yeah.
little areas, but so but it definitely keeps you engaged, and that's what kept me going. Like, I beat the game recently, like couple weeks ago, and it kept me engaged. The story was actually pretty good. It was actually interestingly, surprisingly good, and it's actually the writers from Fallout. Not sure which one, but they're the guys that they write for Fallout. So that was pretty interesting. So it has kind of like that same style of like character interaction where you're seeing like your character like super close, right? And then you get to pick like what you want to say after the conversation that you're having, right? So it it just has a sense of like that Bethesda feel, right? Which I like Bethesda games, but it also has like this huge open world, like they have fucking dinosaur like robots. You can't not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, except that you told me that you can't ride on mechanical T-Rexes, which is bullshit. I don't think
You
that's
still
that
don't.
they
You
kind
can
of you kill them, but you can't ride one. Like I want to ride one, I want it to ride into battle. So I'm
you can
not.
ride like a bull dinosaur looking thing. Like he looks.
Nah, I want a T-Rex. So we're
I'm
gonna.
telling you, man.
I'm gonna
But
scratch this game off because you can't do that. I'm just kidding.
but
But
going to the T Rex thing, like that fight, like you can just find them throughout the world, right? Throughout the area, you find a T Rex, and that fight is epic. And it's not even like a script thing. It's just
spoiler
you.
alert, in case you the
Not
dinosaur
even.
game.
No, not even. It's like it's insane how like you feel in like you feel like you're inside the game. Is what I guess what I'm trying to get at. And I think they did a great job with that. And I'm actually the reason why I started playing it too is because I know the second one's coming out, sometime this year if it doesn't get delayed. So I was like, all right, I got to get this, and this is it's a first it's a Sony title. It's one of the first party games. So I had to. I think I played every single one of them. So I had to play this, and I had to finish it. And I was pleasantly surprised. So I give it like a thumbs up. You
Okay.
need to pick
If
it
you
up
had to give
on
it
PC too.
a out of 10, what would you give it? What score?
Probably give it like an 8. Probably give it like a 9, like a solid 9, because I'm
Wow.
still playing it right now.
Okay.
Like I'm
You
done
s-
with the game, but
you're
I'm
still playing
still.
them. That tells you that
I
that's a pretty
want to.
good game.
I
Then
want to
if
get. I want to get all the trophies. One, and I just. Excuse me. I feel like I haven't seen everything yet because it's such a huge, massive world. So I'm like, all right, I gotta play this. Like this is. I want to see everything in that game. So yeah, I'm excited.
very cool. All right. So currently I'm playing League of Legends has really been what I'm picking up right now. Really getting into that competitive game. It's definitely a steep learning curve because like I have a bunch of buddies I play with and they're telling me like you should be doing this and you should be doing this and you should be doing this. And I feel like such a noob, but definitely a fun game. The culture there is kind of trial by fire. Like they're not exactly nice when you're
Yeah.
on because it's a team based game. So like everyone's trying to win, you
Yeah.
know. So at the same time, it's like there are people that are just trying to get kills and stuff like that, and it's just like it just becomes an argument in game and stuff like that. It becomes toxic, but I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I'm just trying to focus in on getting better at that game, and that's pretty much it. But that's usually
Are
that's
you
what
are
I've.
you
What's that?
are you playing the main game?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know.
playing Summer's Rift. That's the
Okay.
main game in League of Legends. I have a bunch of spin-off stuff, but
Sure. I was
uh,
telling you, out of this, but I did like the little that I played. I did like the League of Legends spin-off
the
RPG
Team Fight Tactics, the little
team
card
fight
game.
tactics. That was
Yeah.
that was that was cool. I fell off super quick, but it was just it was interesting. It caught my attention.
So yeah, that's what I'm playing right now, and that's what's taking most of it. And obviously, like a little bit of COD sprinkling in there, playing a couple matches here and
God,
there.
that
Can't.
match that we had a couple of days ago was it yesterday or the day before? It was fucking great.
Yeah,
I, I
two wins in a row. Can't complain about that.
can't complain, man.
So
That was
almost got the
great. That
three-peat,
was
almost, but yeah, freaking
almost.
campers.
That
What
was
are you
good.
gonna do, right? Um, so we're gonna go for our first topic of the day. Um, we're gonna talk about PS5 as far as what games are you currently playing on PS5?
All right. So I beat Miles Morales, like I said, which was a phenomenal game. It was great. It was probably better than the
The
PS5,
original Spider-Man, yeah,
the
the
core
one from
original.
PS4.
That was great, but I think Miles Morales really hit the nail for me because it just had so much style. It had so much like culture, you know. And I told you this earlier, like a couple months ago, but like this doesn't like really apply to me as much. Like I feel like games that have like that have culture in it, whereas like an African American as the main character, like it's great. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't do anything for me as far as like change the appearance of the game or anything like that. This time around, where you're Miles and he's half black, half Puerto Rican, it did something weird for me. It was like, okay, like I can actually vibe with this character, and I
You can
kind of
relate to them.
I can relate to him in a way that I never related to anybody else before, and I never had that before. So getting that was like it was interesting. It was like, oh, okay, I know what people talk about when they say they want an African American character as their main protagonist or things like that. Like what I mean. So that was cool. And on top of that, just the amount of you know how do I say this? Like how much they put into the game was great. Like it's a shorter game than the original Spider-Man, but I feel like it has so much more growth from that original.
Cool.
So I played
Um,
that. I beat it. It was cool. And then Demon Souls. I'm just not vibing with right now. Maybe I'll get back to it later. But like I
just not
said,
your cup of
right
tea right
now,
now. Yeah.
yeah, right now I'm just playing Horizon.
So as you had PS5 since launch, so you've had it for a couple of months so far. What, November released, 2 months, right?
Yep,
Um,
day one.
is there anything on there right now that you're like you gotta buy a PS5 for this game? What is Miles Morales that game? Is Demon Souls that game? If you're a person that
Short
what?
answer, no. I don't think you need a PS5 right now. Main reason is because Miles Morales, although I adore that game, you can play that on PS4, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you're like a tech savvy guy, like kind of like how we are, sort of, where we have to have like the latest stuff, then yeah, you want a PS5 because it has that. It has all the upgrades that are PS4. Essentially, it's a PS4, an upgraded PS4, right? It doesn't have anything major crazy. It's just everything that you wanted on the PS4 to do, the PS5 does.
So that's the thing. It's like if you're not used to the PC world and having a gaming PC with consoles, if you're just on consoles, you have to wait 5 to 8 years to get that upgrade, right?
Right.
So if you're a console player, I would say it's worth the upgrade, right? Because
Sure.
you have the same hardware for so long, whereas if you're gaming on a PC, you're like, I'll just upgrade this piece and I'll have better frames.
But you're
So
talking about upgrading now, right? Like, is it worth buying a PS5
is
right
it
now?
yeah, is it worth buying it right now?
Is it worth buying? Period. 100%. But right now, again, you have
Yeah.
Miles Morales where you can play that on PS4.
And
You have
then
Demon Souls is
which
probably like the only like main PS5 exclusive that it really has. Great, it's fun, it's great. It's also, if you want to knock it down, it's a remaster of an original.
exactly.
So it's, again, there's nothing. Maybe this year because we're gonna have Ratchet and Clank that's coming out soon. Um, again, Horizon Forbidden West is coming out soon this year. Those games might entice people to buy a PS5,
The new
but
God of War, that's probably when I'll be purchasing the
that's
PS5.
that's
So
gonna be delayed. It's not coming this
I
year.
well, I mean, Santa Monica's pretty good. They're pretty good about they're usually pretty honest about
Yeah,
their dates and stuff like that. But if it gets
yeah,
at this point for me after Cyberpunk, I'm okay with delays. Like just delay it when you feel the game is ready.
for sure.
That's when you should tell us like this is the release
Listen,
date. Don't rush it for whatever reasons. I know like they got you know investors and stuff like that, but like
right.
tell us like take your time with the game. Like I'd rather wait and it be amazing than it be horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
you don't want another Cyberpunk, right? Like
exactly.
that.
We'll give an example of a game that was in years of development. Final Fantasy VII remake. Took forever to come out. I think they had a tech demo back in 2006 or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
and now 2020 is when finally came out, and it was awesome. It was great. I had nothing bad to say about that game, and no one really said anything bad about it. So I think they should definitely
On
take
the
their
flip
time.
side, they did release Final Fantasy 15, and that took forever. And it came out, and it was okay. It was kind of bare bones. So it
See,
goes
that
both
one's a
ways.
weird one too because there's a bunch of
Yeah.
DLC that came out with that, and then
Probably now it's dope. Now it's probably like pretty cool. But when we first bought it, it was cool. It was a good
yeah,
game,
the story was kind of
but it was
lackluster.
like it was kind of flat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes both ways. Listen, just don't. I know it's easier said than done, but try not to release a choppy game that if you know it's not ready, just wait, right? Because like again, you don't want another Cyberpunk because that was a like terrible catastrophe, and you just don't want a good game being demolished in reviews and just like bad press just simply because it has like bugs and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like
You want like again like a God of War where it's just like that game is just or on like an Uncharted like no matter where you go everyone's saying good things about that game. You know what I
right,
mean? So now again you could take another game that was in development for a while was Last of Us 2 and it was a good game.
yep,
There wasn't anything bad about that game. It's just like not everyone liked it. Like as far as like
very
it
controversial.
was very
Yeah,
controversial. Exactly. Like it was some people said it was better than the first. Some people said it was whack.
yeah. I
So,
mean,
but I'd rather
personally,
have that where it's like people's opinions about a game
yeah,
versus when the
there's
game's just
a
being
discussion
ass.
about
Yeah,
there's a discussion of whether you like it or not, rather than it's bad because of these bugs and I can't play this game,
exactly.
so on and so forth. Yeah, I get you. But yeah, so that's typically what we're doing right now. I'm playing those games. Yeah, and I don't have much to say. I don't think you need a PS5 right now, but who knows? Like maybe they'll come out with a state of play next month, and that changes everything.
Let's talk about the other side of it, Xbox Series X. How do you think they're doing right now? How do you think people with Xbox Series X? Again, me personally, I've always liked PlayStation because of their exclusives. They have their their first party games are amazing, 99% of the time. With Microsoft, it's a little different. They have some great games, but they kind of lack with the exclusive stuff. Obviously, they have Halo, but we haven't seen Halo in however long.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you hear Sony PS5, you hear that everywhere, right? You're seeing commercials, you're seeing memes, like you can't find a PS5 anywhere, and you're seeing these memes where like, oh, my girlfriend's gonna buy me a PS5, I love her, whatever, stuff like that, right? Whereas you don't hear that same discussion with Xbox. Um, so Sony definitely has everyone's eyes right now. Like everyone's just kind of like waiting for a PS5 to come out. And I don't know how Microsoft is doing right now, but I know that they're lacking in games like they've always have. But I know they're fixing that. It's just gonna take some time. I know they have some studios already in development trying to make
Yeah,
some games.
they purchased a bunch, and I know for a fact that Game Pass is amazing. So that is really
So that's
keeping.
their saving grace right
Yeah,
now.
if you
Even
haven't
though
bought Game Pass, you should definitely buy 50 bucks a
yeah,
month, 15 bucks a month, and you get a ton of games at your
a ton of
fingertips.
games.
It's
And
just so worth it.
and day ones too. Like that's the kind of cool thing about it. Like we got Gears of War 5 day one. We didn't pay for it. Well, essentially we did with Game Pass, but we had Game Pass, so we just downloaded it day one, right? So Game Pass for sure has the upper hand with compared to Sony. But I think Sony has had their foot at the door for so long with exclusives that they're still up top right now, and everyone knows or sees Sony as like when you see the Sony logo that they just made, you think of like a quality, like you're gonna get something good. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And Microsoft doesn't have that yet. They don't have that pillar of exclusively, and they don't have that like title yet. It's like when you see Marvel title screen come down,
You're
and
like,
you know,
oh, this is
like
gonna be
they're like,
epic.
all right, this has to be good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's kind of like how Sony is right now, and Microsoft isn't quite there yet. So hopefully this year changes that.
And sticking to Microsoft and the Xbox Series X, just one thing we article here is the Microsoft or the Xbox and their controller still uses double A's. So basically, the reason why they use double A's is because they have a partnership with Duracell. So how do you feel about them still sticking to using double A's, whereas like everything has rechargeable batteries at this point? You know?
It's one of those things where you don't think about. Like you're just like, oh shit, yeah, they have batteries still. Why? Like, and it just so happens because they have a partnership with AA, like
Yeah,
battery. What? Like Duracell? Is it Duracell?
it's Duracell. They have a partnership with.
Duracell.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like sure, but that's just weird. I mean, I know from like a business standpoint, it makes sense for them because they're making like the rechargeable batteries for them. Like they make money off of it. They're making profits, but it's 2021, man. Like, what are you doing with these chargeable batteries? Some people don't mind. Some people don't care. But like,
I mean, I like it sometimes. Like in a pitch, like when your things dying and stuff like that, you're like, oh, I gotta let me just pop in batteries. I'm good to go. But at the same
yeah,
time, it's like, okay, what if you don't have batteries?
you're shit out of
Yeah,
luck.
exactly. You can play your
You
game.
gotta buy their fucking your fucking pack. Like that's
Exactly.
what they want.
I think in the future they should ship it with at least a USB cable, so that way if your controller does die,
Have
you
the
just
option. That
you have the
that's good.
option. You can just connect, and until you have batteries, you can plug them in, or just put rechargeable batteries in there that you can take out. But
That's good. Yeah, yeah, that's a
yeah,
good idea.
that's what I think they should do because with
Yeah.
PS4 or PS5 they have the USB cable.
And also, you would think with their elite controllers that they would use they would use actual
Yeah, so
charge.
that's strange you bring that up because they do have the USB. When you buy an Elite controller, the freaking
Right,
$150 Elite controller, you
right.
do get the USB, but you still get the
Blows my
non-chargeable
mind.
batteries. So
Yeah, that's just weird. I don't know. I mean, hey, good for them. They're making profit out of it. Fine, but like, it's just weird. I don't know. Do you think they'll ever get rid of that? Do you think they'll ever make an actual controller that does not have batteries?
I think so at one point. I think when if that partnership ends with Duracell, I think they'll be like, all right, we're done, worth it. There's no reason for
I
us to do
read
it.
I
So
read an article that Microsoft had this poll going on, or it was like a survey, and they were asking people if they were interested in Sony's DualSense capabilities.
Oh, I did see that too.
See that?
Literally,
So they're kind of essentially like, hey, do you guys like what they have? So we can probably implement that at some point. So they might be even thinking about making another controller at some point in the future. And who knows, maybe it might be this amazing like DualSense esque no batteries controller, you know?
what's that? See, I mean, the Microsoft controller has been, or the Xbox controller has been. I would say it's pretty perfect as far as like I prefer the
Feels
Xbox
good.
controller over the PlayStation controller.
Yeah.
I know the PlayStation 5 one is a lot better than the previous one, but I think they almost perfected the way a controller should be.
Yeah.
So like you, as
Yes,
you
you gotta hold that thought though. You gotta grab the PS5 controller and just see how that feels, and just kind of compare.
no, it's definitely closer to it. It's more heftier. It's got it definitely it's replicating more of the Xbox controller, but I feel like that Xbox controller is a perfect controller to hold in your hand.
For
You
sure,
know,
yeah.
because they
As far
haven't
as
really
comfort goes,
updated
yeah.
it since Xbox 360. That's when it started, Xbox 360, and then it's been slight
Right,
improvements over. Kind of like what happened with DualShock, right? DualShock
right.
was a good controller, and they're like, okay, let's not fix it or let's not change it because it's not broken. So,
Yep, yep.
um,
Yeah, no, for sure. That's yeah.
so last couple bits here about some consoles. There is a new Mario themed Switch coming out.
Oh,
How,
there's a link over here, right? See this bad boy. I haven't really seen it. So,
yes.
okay,
So the border around the Switch itself, like the Switch console itself, is red.
it's red. Okay, that looks
The
cool.
the
But what's the difference with? Oh, so the previous one, it just had the Joy Cons that were
it was
red,
just the
right?
Joy Cons that were red and blue. That was it.
Okay, so this is
Whereas
full blown red.
it's
Okay,
full
looks cool.
red, and then the Joy-Con holder controller thing, I don't know what you would call it. I forget the name of it. It's
It's
blue,
blue. I
and
see it. Yeah.
then the actual Joy-Cons are both red.
Okay.
So it's basically red. It's mostly a red. Um,
Yeah, I fucks with it. It looks cool. I don't know. It looks kind of more of a toy, but I like it. I mean, I'd be down to get one. That's the thing. When are they making a Switch Pro? You know what I mean? Honestly, I'm tired of my Switch. Like, I feel like it's just I use it mostly docked, right? And I feel like it needs an upgrade. You know,
you know
I need
Nintendo. You
I
know
need
Nintendo. They're not really they're not really into that. I mean, they do like slight upgrades. Like they'll do like the 3DS. They did the 3DS XL, that kind of thing. So they might do some kind of. I don't think there was gonna be like a Switch 2. I think they're just gonna call it like Switch, like you said, Switch Pro or
I think a Switch Pro might be coming, and I just say that because they have to keep the momentum up. I mean, they're doing great so far with they're selling consoles and games and all that, but they need to make they need to kind of add that second layer, and not keep and just kind of keep the momentum going. And I just want a better like I don't know. First of all, my one of my my controllers are what's
the
that called?
Joy-Con, the joystick.
Yeah, yeah, but it's drifting.
Yeah, mine does that too.
So that's why I don't play it like handheld. I would like to, but I'm like, I'd rather not because I mostly play Smash, right? And I don't want that like annoyance when I'm playing, especially if I'm playing like hardcore. So I just play docked, and it just kind of sits there now, and I'm like, I don't really play it other than that. I feel like if I had a new Switch, I would play it and everything,
Well, it also too is like games, right? Games are kind of you gotta kind of wait for all the big because you buy the Switch for the big Nintendo games. Let's be realistic, you know. It's like when Breath of Wild 2 comes out, you're gonna be picking up your Switch, 100%
Yep,
and playing that.
yep.
So, um, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think people will like the red. Me personally, I probably won't do an upgrade because it's just a color. I don't really need it.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing an upgrade here unless they change any specs. Then
Yeah,
I'm not.
exactly. I won't change. I won't switch over to that until they actually come off a new one.
Although the Animal Crossing one looked pretty dope, not gonna lie.
I did like the Animal Crossing one, but again, it's a
Yeah,
color, and I'm like, do I want to spend the money just
right.
for a color? I don't know. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. And then another thing too about some news about console colors is there was this company. that was basically turning PS5s into a black color scheme, so it looked like the PS2. So they were doing pre-orders for that, but apparently they were getting death threats because people weren't sure if they're going to get them or anything like that. They didn't seem like they were legitimate. Do you have more information about that?
Okay. So this is from Kotaku, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I thought this was another story where Sony like kind of closes or shuts down another company that's trying to like knock off their PS5. That doesn't seem to be the case. So essentially, they look even their Twitter is completely gone too, which is
Yeah, so it was Super, I believe, was the name of the Super
you
5 is the name of
know
the company, and they were selling these PS5s for 649 US, and they would basically selling you PS5s that look like PS2s, the color scheme. So I guess for whatever reason, people were sending them death threats for, I guess because they weren't sure if they
I love
actually were
I love
doing it, you know?
I love their update here. It says we intended to be we intended this to be a fun way to celebrate a shared nostalgia. As it turns out, there are people out there who are willing to interfere with that. If we determine that it's safe to try again, we will. For now, please stay safe. So they just flat out get like they're like I'm done. You're not gonna give us death threats and get away with it type of thing. So do you think they were legit though? Like do you think they were actually like
I think they were. I mean, they gave everyone back their money, and they said it was ready for spring 2021 is when they would be the release date for them when the people would actually get their consoles.
right?
But I don't know why people would be sending them death threats. That's the weird thing. Like why we're
Yeah,
like
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 why?
I went on this website to buy this thing. What would make me so mad that I'd be like, give me my money back, or like maybe it just wasn't clear.
You're lying. Like I don't. Yeah, maybe it wasn't clear, but I don't know. That's super strange. But I mean, good on them for giving them everyone's money back and just kind of doing the right thing with shutting down the business in a way, like just shutting down the factory for now until everything kind of clears
Oh
away.
yeah, because for a fact, like as soon as they put them on their website, those PS5s, they were those pre-orders were gone in a second.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know how long they would last because I feel like Sony would come interrupt and just kind of shut
Well, it
everything,
would be that company purchasing PS5s
and
and
then
then transforming them. So it's like, how are they
transforming.
getting all those PS5s?
Fair
You know what
enough.
I mean? Like, how can they keep up with that demand?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, good on them for making a statement and kind of addressing it. I mean, it's not what everyone wanted, but that's why there's assholes on the internet that. First of all, I don't know why you have to send death threats to anybody for whatever reason. Like, I just think that's pointless. But there are people out there. So,
All right, and then we got another article here, and this is topic three in regards to Nvidia is
oh, this is
releasing the 3060 cards priced at 329. How do you feel about that?
that's super cheap. That's super inexpensive
For a
there. I mean,
brand new graphics card that
for a brand new graphics card at 3060 at that, like you're getting, I would say, a bang for your buck. That what I mean. Um,
that will be the beginner build card. Like that is the one right there. If you're doing a beginner
we have
build,
3060s. We have 3060s Ti's right now. Um, but my thing is, how long do you think they're going to be on the market? Those things are
no,
going
they're
to fuck.
gone. They're gone. They're gone. Like
You're not going to get one.
you're not gonna get one.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be
No.
scalpers. They're gonna be charging however
Right.
much, 450, $500 for it, and people
Yep.
are still gonna pay them because their graphics card market is screwed right now
Yep.
because of scalpers because they ruin everything. So if you can get that card, get that card. It's
You
a
should.
phenomenal value.
It's going to be a pain in the ass to get, but if you can, you should. Oh, it actually has 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, which is pretty good too for 3060. Like for the price, it's great.
Yeah, you can't beat
Wow.
it. I say it's even better value than the Ti that we have. You know.
It has RGB lighting on it.
Well, that's from another. That's from PNY. Sorry, PNY. It's
PNY.
like their, the manufacturer
That's
that.
their yeah, I see. Okay. Cool. Hey, that's great. I think it's good that there's a lot of different graphics cards that appeal to different customers, you know.
Yeah, different
Yeah.
price points, but I think Nvidia's got to pump them out. Again, you got to be careful with that because quality is a big thing. Obviously, you don't
Yeah.
want
So how
a
how
fall
obsolete do you think these 3060s are going to be in like 4 or 5 years though?
4 or 5 years.
Give or take. Like, do you think like our 3060 Ti right now, do you think it's going to be obsolete in like five
I wouldn't
years?
I wouldn't say obsolete per se because it really depends on what you're doing with it. If you're doing light gaming, like running Counter Strike or Overwatch or something like that, you're not going to have too much of an issue. But if you're doing like AAA games, you're running into an issue. Like I said, a 3060.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
right now, Cyberpunk for me runs at a solid 65, 70 frames per second, which is really good for the game, right? Um, and that's with everything ultra. You know what I mean? I feel like that's now. You know, like games are gonna get only. They're just gonna get more bigger. They're gonna get like more expensive, and they're gonna pump out way more graphics. So I feel like my 3060 for a game that's gonna come out in 5 years from now is gonna struggle. You know,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the best card I think you can get at this point that's going to be like future proof per se
3090.
would be no 39 is overkill. That's overkill. I would even go 3080. 3080 is probably the best card that it's going to last you a long time. 39 and no one has. I mean, $1,500 for a card is absolutely insane. But
Oh, how much is a 80?
it's 700.
Still a lot.
It's still that's what I'm
But
saying. It's still a lot, but that's the
yeah,
price you're paying to be future proof, basically.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Hey, did we talk about um topic number two just below? How can Sony maintain excitement in 2021?
I mean, we kind of touched it. We kind of touched that. Like the excitement is that they just have to pump out their first party games. You know.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to Sony and Microsoft, do you think they need to, or I'm sorry, do you think Sony needs to address Game Pass? Do you think Sony needs to make something, and they have something sort of right now with that PlayStation Plus royalty thing that they have, where you can play like Persona, you can play Last of Us, all their like first party like exclusives, and some third party there as well. But do you think they need to make something like Game Pass to compete with Microsoft in that gaming aspect?
Do you like Hulu? Do you like your Disney Plus? Do you like your Netflix subscription?
Yes, but that's another subscription added on top, which is fine. They need to make it enticing for everybody, right?
I would say
I,
that's just
I
that's
agree
just
with you. I agree with you.
everything's streaming, everything is subscription based now. So it's like they kind of have to because
Yeah,
again, Microsoft $15 a month, you get hundreds of games at the
for sure.
fingertips. You know what I mean? And some of them like are recent, so it's like why not? I mean, you're on Steam or on the PlayStation Store, and you're spending $30 to $60 on one game that you'll play for maybe a week. You
Right.
know, depends on the game, but I think they have to put something there.
Yeah. Do you think they'll do it this year,
I don't know if they'll do it this year.
or even are they working on it right now? Like I feel like
They're probably
they
working
have
on
to
it.
work, right?
Yeah, I mean they're gonna have to present something for E3 this coming year, so they might hint at it, or they might be like, "We're working on this." But again, I don't know if they have the infrastructure for it right now, like Microsoft does. Microsoft has done so many freaking partnerships with
Yeah,
all
well,
these
they've been
companies.
working on Game Pass for years now. Like they're here now because they started doing this for way back and a couple years back. Sony would just be starting off this whole thing, so their infrastructure it can take a while.
And then again,
Oh,
they have that the Xbox Series S, right, where it's $300 and you can play games at 1440p.
yeah,
Like, I mean, granted, I don't know how many frames,
yeah.
but
So
it's still a freaking really good deal.
damn, that's exciting though. Imagine like Sony giving you like this Game Pass kind of. Just give me Warhawk. You know what I mean? Give me
Warhawk 3,
Warhawk.
Warhawk 3, or
Just give
remastered.
me
Warhawk
no. Just give
remastered.
me a remastered, dude. Give me a remastered Warhawk, and I would flip shit. Give me a remastered Warhawk with all the DLC that they had. That would be my dream. I fucking love that game. Or give me a new one. Starhawk was trash. Forget about
I
that.
didn't like that.
Just
That
make a
was
Warhawk 3, and everybody would be happy. Moving on. So Microsoft, though, what do you think they need to do for them to make a comeback? Because this past generation they kind of struggled. They were always kind of like behind Sony, trying to keep up with them. Game wise, it just wasn't a lot. They didn't really have a lot of exclusives. So what do you think they need to do this year to kind of bring themselves back to number one?
well, four things, or sorry, four-letter word. Can you guess what that four-letter word is? Give you a
Four
hint.
little words.
Begins with an H.
Halo.
Halo. Halo needs to
Yes.
come out. Yeah, Halo, and then obviously, like a new Elder Scrolls game would be huge.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
massive.
with them acquiring Bethesda, that was huge. That was
See,
major
that's the
for them.
thing. Are they gonna be? Is it gonna be one of those things where there's gonna be like a time exclusive now, where it's gonna come out on Xbox first, and then eventually it'll come out on
There's been a lot of
PlayStation?
talks about that, and everyone's they're kind of split in the middle. Like some people say, oh, they'll be crazy to lose money and not put it on PS5 as well. Other people say no, they're just gonna stick to most of their games to be exclusive on Xbox, and some of the games that they don't care about over to Sony. I say personally that they have to bring most, if not all, of their games from Bethesda's side to Sony to PS5.
That's why I
They're
think
gonna make
it's gonna
money.
be a time exclusive thing.
It's another Minecraft situation. They're making money off of Sony right now, and that's their IP. It just makes sense. Now the time exclusive thing, I can see that definitely for sure. Most of their games can be like you can even see what's it called, a no Fallout game that's timed exclusive. Like that's crazy. But it can very well happen. So yeah, that's definitely they definitely have they did good with that. They did really good with
Oh yeah.
acquiring.
So I think that those are kind of the two key things right now. Is actually three. We'll say Halo. Like a new Elder Scroll games will be freaking ridiculous, and then Game Pass. Just pump out Game Pass with like some crazy titles. Like put Assassin's Creed on there. Put Valhalla on there in a couple of a couple of months. People eat that up.
Yeah.
Even put the old games. Put like the old Assassin's Creeds and stuff like that. People would want to replay those.
I kind of want to. I didn't try all of them, so I definitely would like to play some of the older games. I remember playing, which one was it? Was it Assassin's Creed?
Black Flag.
I never played Black Flag. I want to play that. Was another one that I wanted to play, but I forgot the name. But regardless, like yeah, they definitely should do something like that. And also, like I think they're on their way to getting to the top, or at least close to it. They have the exclusives. It's just gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time for them to actually build those studios and actually make AAA games. And unfortunately, they just don't have that. They just need time. That's it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's what they need to do. I think we wrap up for this episode, for the first episode. We're going to be setting this podcast up every Thursday. We're putting it on Spotify, Apple Music, and Anchor, and then we will be putting up some YouTube videos
Yeah.
of the podcast.
Yeah, so I mean we don't have all the logistics set up yet, but we're gonna have our own YouTube page for sure, right? Probably our own Twitter handle for sure. Um, as of right now, we're just gonna post it on Spotify and at some point on YouTube, and we'll go from there, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it sounds good to me. Like I said, it's again just a fun thing we're doing, and if anyone has any suggestions or anything like that, definitely let us know, and that'll be it.
cool.
All right, man. It was a pleasure.
All right, man. I'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.